Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into something that sounds maybe a bit complex, bureaucratic even, but it actually affects pretty much all of our working lives. We're talking about international standards, sort of the silent guardians of workplaces globally. So, our mission here is to unpack what the International Organization for Standardization, ISO, actually is, what it does, and why are its certifications so crucial for businesses everywhere. Then we're going to zoom right in on one standard in particular, ISO 4501. We'll look at its history, its purpose, and its impact, especially how it grew out of an older standard to better protect workers. And to guide us through this, we've got some really solid sources. There's a detailed overview from a company that specializes in helping businesses get ISO certified, plus a couple of really comprehensive study guides that break down the technical bits in the history. Okay, so let's unpack this. We hear ISO thrown around a lot. What actually is the International Organization for Standardization? What's its main job?
Right. So fundamentally, ISO is this global non-governmental organization. Its main role, really, is to develop and publish standards that are recognized all over the world. Think of them, maybe, as creating a kind of universal language for doing business well. Quality, safety, efficiency.
A universal language, I like that.
Exactly. So if you're getting parts from, say, a factory in Vietnam, or you're working with a software team in Germany, if they're ISO certified, you have this baseline assurance. You know they're aiming for the same level of quality and safety. It ensures consistency across all sorts of industries worldwide.
That's a powerful concept. But for a business owner listening, why bother getting certified? Is it more than just, a logo to put on your website? What are the actual benefits?
Oh, absolutely. It's much more than just a badge. Getting ISO certified really builds trust. It shows clients and partners you meet these high international benchmarks. But maybe even more importantly, the process itself forces you to take a hard look at how you operate internally. It drives real improvements in your systems, your processes.
Right. It makes you tidy up your own house, so to speak.
Precisely. And often, it opens doors to new markets. Lots of large companies or international partners actually require their suppliers to be certified. So it's really about committing to excellence and reliability.
I can definitely see that. It sounds like it forces a kind of positive transformation. What's like the biggest hurdle companies face when they decide to go for it?
Well, often it's just figuring out which standards apply and understanding the sheer depth of them. It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
That makes sense. And that brings us to the next point. ISO isn't just one thing, is it? You mentioned the breadth. Can you give us a quick idea of some other major ISO standards people might come across?
Yeah, absolutely. The scope is huge. We're focusing on occupational health and safety today, but you've got ISO 9001. That's the big one for quality management. Then there's ISO 27001 for information security, which is obviously critical now. ISO 22000 deals with food safety. ISO 13485 is for medical devices, very specific. And ISO 14001 covers environmental management. So choosing the right standard really depends on your industry, your specific business, and what you're trying to achieve strategically.
That is a lot to potentially deal with. So if these are so important but also complex, how does a company, actually navigate all this to get certified? It sounds like you might need some help.
You often do. And that's where specialized support services come in. They offer expert advice, basically translating the standard into practical steps for your business. A big part of it is helping with the documentation, writing the policies, the manuals, the checklists, so they're clear, customized, and crucially, ready for an audit.
Audit ready. That sounds key.
Definitely. Many providers also offer cloud-based systems now. These help embed the ISO requirements into daily work, track performance, makes compliance much easier to manage. And they'll often help liaise with the actual certification bodies, guiding the company through the whole process right up to the final audit. They really do simplify things.
Okay, so with all these different standards available, how does a global company really focus on protecting its people, its workforce? That's where ISO 4501 comes in, right? What's this one all about?
Exactly. ISO 45001 is the international standard specifically for occupational health and safety OHS management systems. It's not just a list of safety rules. It's a whole systematic approach. Think of it like a company-wide blueprint for identifying workplace hazards, assessing the risks involved, putting controls in place, and then constantly, improving health and safety performance.
So the goal isn't just fewer accidents.
That's a major goal, yes, reducing occupational injuries and diseases, but it also explicitly aims to promote and protect both the physical and mental health of workers. That's a key aspect, and it's designed to fit neatly with other ISO standards so you can build an integrated system.
Interesting. Now, you mentioned this evolved. Was ISO 4501 the first attempt at a global standard for safety like this? What came before?
Good question. No, it wasn't the very first. Before ISO 45001, things were more fragmented. You had some early national standards, like in the UK, BS 8750 back in 93, then BS 8800 in 96. These were responses to growing safety concerns. But before about 1999, different countries had different standards. Some companies had their own proprietary ones. It was a bit of a patchwork quilt. This caused confusion, maybe undermined credibility a bit.
Right, not very international.
Exactly. So this led to an international group forming, the Occupational Health and Safety Assessment Series Project Group. The British Standards Institution, BSI, kind of managed the process. And they published the OHSAS 18000 series in March of 1999. That really was the world's first proper international OHS management standard. It got updated later in 2007.
So OHSS 18000 was the predecessor. How did we get from that to ISO 4501? Why the change?
Well, there was a growing push to bring OHS management fully under the ISO umbrella, to give it that global ISO branding and structure. The formal proposal to develop ISO 4501 happened within ISO back in October 2013. A dedicated committee, ISO PC 283, was set up to develop it. It was a huge effort. Experts from over 70 countries were involved in drafting and debating it over several years. It wasn't rushed. Finally, it was officially published on March 12, 2018.
Okay, so let's be crystal clear here. ISO 4501 didn't just run alongside OHS 1831. It actually replaced it, correct?
That's absolutely right. It formally superseded OHS 1801.
What did that mean for companies that were already certified to OHS 1801? Did they have to start over?
Not start over, but they did have to migrate. There was a mandatory 3-year migration period set from 2018 to 2021. Interestingly, that got extended by 6 months because of the disruption from the COVID-19 pandemic. So the final deadline became September 11, 2021. After that date, OHS 1801 was officially withdrawn. So yeah, organizations had to make the switch to ISO 4501 if they wanted to keep a valid OHS certification.
Got it. So it wasn't just a renaming exercise. It sounds like ISO 4501 brought some significant changes, some real improvements over OHSS 18001. What were the key differences? What makes it better?
Oh, it was definitely a substantial upgrade, a real shift in thinking in some areas. One major change is a focus on the context of the organization. This means businesses now have to systematically consider both internal and external issues, things like economic changes, new technology, workforce demographics, and how they might impact their OHS system's ability to achieve its goals. It's about being more proactive, looking ahead.
Okay, that sounds more strategic.
It is. Another big one is broadening the scope of who's considered. Clause 4.2 talks about understanding the needs and expectations of workers and other interested parties. So it's not just direct employees anymore. It explicitly includes suppliers, contractors, clients, regulators, anyone affected by the organization's activities. Think about a construction site. It forces you to consider the safety of everyone there, not just your own payroll.
Much wider responsibility.
Definitely. And maybe one of the most fundamental shifts is the requirement to identify not just risks, things that could go wrong, but also opportunities.
Opportunities.
In health and safety, yes. Opportunities to improve OHS performance, to enhance well-being, to innovate in safety practices. It encourages moving beyond just preventing harm to actively promoting a positive safety culture. And finally, a really critical one, a much stronger emphasis on leadership and management commitment. Clause 5.1 really puts the responsibility squarely on top management.
How so?
It demands that leaders actively engage, demonstrate leadership, and take direct accountability for the OHS system's effectiveness. It can't be delegated away to just the safety department anymore. Safety becomes embedded in the core business strategy.
Wow, that leadership piece feels huge, making it everyone's job, starting at the top.
It really is a game changer. It helps weave safety into the very fabric of the organization.
And all these changes, the structure, I understand it connects to something called the high-level structure, or NXSL. Can you explain what that is? Does it make things easier?
Yes, exactly. The high-level structure, HLS, which is now formally called Annex SL in the directives, is basically a standardized template for all new and revised ISO management system standards. It provides a common structure, the same clause numbers, titles, core text, and definitions.
Like a universal remote for ISO standards, maybe?
That's a pretty good way to put it. So whether you're looking at ISO 9001 for quality, 40001 for environment, or 4501 for OHS, they all follow the same basic blueprint. This common structure makes it much easier to integrate ISO 4501 with other standards like the 2015 versions of 9001 and 14001, which also follow the HLS.
So if a company wants to get certified for quality, environment, and safety, this HLS must be a huge help.
A massive advantage. It allows them to build an integrated management system. Instead of having three separate siloed systems, they can combine the common elements. This streamlines everything: documentation, audits, internal processes. It reduces duplication and makes managing multiple certifications much more efficient and consistent.
This has been fascinating, really getting into the nuts and bolts, but let's zoom out again. For you listening, why does understanding all this detail about ISO 4501 actually matter?
Well, think about it this way. Next time you, I don't know, unbox a new phone or walk past a major construction project or even pick up groceries,
Ugh.
consider what's behind it. ISO 4501 isn't just some abstract standard. It's working, often unseen, in the background. It represents a company's commitment not just to the quality of the thing you're holding, but to the safety and well-being of the people who made it, transported it, built the place.
Right, it connects the product to the people.
Exactly. It embeds that responsibility into global supply chains. So whether you're leading a business, working in one, or just interested in how the world works more responsibly, understanding ISO 4501 gives you insight. It shows how organizations build trust, work more efficiently, and, crucially, prioritize protecting their people on a global scale.
So we've gone from the big picture of ISO, why certification matters, and then really dug deep into ISO 4501, its history, how it replaced OHS's 1801, and the real impact it has on keeping workplaces safer around the world.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with. As you go through your day interacting with countless products and services, just remember that behind many of them lies this commitment to meet global standards. ISO 4501 is part of that. It's a kind of silent promise from a company, not just about what they make, but about how they make it, valuing the health and safety of the people involved. It reflects a global baseline for corporate responsibility that ultimately benefits us all.